now. If you're exhausted by politics, discouraged by outcomes, or just sensing that Christian engagement or libertarian engagement just hasn't felt right this year, you're probably not alone. But perhaps that exhaustion might actually be a gift. So as 2025 comes to a close, we want to reflect on a few lessons that we think can help Christians and libertarians move forward with greater faithfulness, less anxiety, and more optimism looking to the future. So that's what we're going to be talking about live here in the LCI Green Room. Hey, everybody. I am Jacob Winograd. I am joined tonight by our fearless leader, the crusader and visionary and pioneer of the Libertarian Christian Institute. I don't know. I'm being extra showmanshipy here.
Hype it up, baby.
Yes,
Let's go.
Yeah. We're all about the hype here tonight. It's New Year's Eve, right?
You gotta, cheers. Let's go.
Right. But yeah, I'm joined by Norman Horn. How you doing tonight, Norm?
I am fantastic. My knee is hurting from all the work I did today, but I'm just glad to be here with you on this lovely New Year's Eve, getting ready to welcome in what is going to be the best year for LCI ever, thanks to all of our people.
Yes,
this is the best year, but it's going to even be better next year.
Well, right, exactly. Every year it's gonna be great. It was great last year, and next year it's going to be even more great.
The years of the greatest.
But yeah,
it is because we have the best word.
We have the best word.
Yeah, it's Jesus. Jesus is the word, baby.
Oh, yes. Well, last time we were here, we gave you guys an update of where we were on the fundraiser, and we had at that point, I think, gotten a little past the halfway mark. That was on the 23rd of December, and now, if we, I don't think I have a drum roll effect on hand, but you can just imagine one, or we can. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but looking at the current tracker, we have exceeded our goal, and I think there's actually more than what is showing here, but.
That was at the beginning of today. Now it's at almost $32,000. Thank you, yes, everybody, for making that happen. That is the fully funding the 15K challenge match and more for the months of November and December. This was the most incredible turnout for everybody. I think that everyone who gave, thank you so much. Everything matters here, and I think what I want to make sure that you guys understand is that when you give to LCI, we treat that extremely seriously, and we are absolutely dedicated to making sure that it goes, that you can force multiply this into your amplifying your voice for liberty in the world. That is what this is all about. I am just absolutely floored by the generosity of our donors. You guys are how this happens. Like, it's absolutely incredible. And so we're going to do our best to to make every dollar count, just as we have been for the last for all of our existence, not just the last few years, but we have been in this kind of like what we typify as kind of, in a sense, slow growth mode. We do this without putting anybody full time. Not right, at least not right now. We want to in the future, and maybe that'll even happen this year. Like with what's happening, like this might happen. But it's a big row to hoe with this operation. Like we are very careful with making sure that we get impact with every dollar that we spend. And that's the honest to goodness truth. We're very careful with how we manage those finances. You can find the 990s online. You can see what it is. If you want to go dig, it's no problem. And we're very transparent about how we do this. So, thank you guys for making this happen. We're going to make you guys proud. I've liked to say in the past that this is like the LCI is like the best value in the Liberty industry, if you want to call it that, in terms for dollar, who is impacted by the dollar spent. We mentioned it, I think, even on the last show, but like we've reached, by conservative estimates, over 2 million people this year worldwide in over 100 countries, ranging from literally communist China to our dear friends in Mexico, tons of people in Canada and France. Of course, the U.S. is kind of our main focus point since that's where we all are. But there is so much going on, and we are trying to make an impact wherever we can. Africa has seen more growth this year than pretty much any other year. I mean, just from the numbers, like it's absolutely insane. We've never seen the response like we have from in China in this year. That's absolutely insane. And I like, whew, man, this is really something. Voluntarian, you're not late. You're right on time, buddy. We're just cracking now.
Yes. No, we started a little bit late, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, we were late.
The unofficial Libertarian podcast rules: if you're starting on time, you're actually early. 10 minutes late is right on time.
It's kind of like going to a house party, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, if you start your live stream on time, that's how people know that's not a good live stream. Well, that one started on time. What's wrong with these people?
we were like, it was 7:26 my time and 4 minutes to go, and I had just finished cleaning up all of the materials and whatnot from laying flooring all day with my dad and my brother at the house here. It's been it's been a time. It's been a time.
Yeah, this I feel like for all of us here at LCI at least, but even a lot of people I know, this was a very crazy month. Like I feel like last year it was like chill, and like we actually were able to get like the entire team together to do like those sort of like year-end review kind of like short testimonial things.
Yep.
That we published. And this year it's just like everyone had like 20 things happening all at once, probably the whole year. And yeah, this was definitely, we're having a bit of a, what's the right, is it a parabola? Like we had like a little bit of a, like over the last few years. I think when I joined, we established like a kind of baseline with Christians for Liberty Network. And then the next year we did a little more, and we had Freedom Fest. And then, last year, not 2025, 2024 felt like, oh, wow, things are really picking up. And then this last year was like, oh, wow, things are really picking up just in terms of like, just, all of our, I mean, in so many different metrics, and just like downloads, in terms of, growth on YouTube and on X, in terms of just like interaction with the audience and getting more, I'm sure you've seen it. And I mean, I think we've seen it in different ways, because you get it more like you'll see things on the website, and you'll get emails that are sent, and you'll forward it to us. Whereas I'm on the socials, and like, I'm with the common people. I'm down, Norman's up there on the, in the clouds. But I'm constantly getting, just, not even just messages. One of the coolest things I've seen increase this year is that on social media, when on like big accounts and like big posts, when people are talking about something that, whether it's like, what, like, well, is there a Christian view on this particular political issue,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's about like, well, can't, you know can Christians be libertarians? Like, people are tagging us in these
Mm-hmm.
posts and on these threads, and so we are becoming more of that, like what we're, trying to be, which is that sort of like people, when they have questions pertaining to that intersection between faith and politics, they know that even if they don't have the answer, that they can tag us in, and we can, come in and try to point them to, well, usually what happens is it's like they'll tag the LCI account, and then I'll come in, and then I'll tag like four of our guys to come in and share, so then we'll just like overwhelm people with like, all right, now you need to listen to 20 podcasts and read 5 books.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll improve on that even next year. So
Yeah.
no, that's great. No, I can definitely identify with those sentiments. The way that things have proceeded this year have been at kind of an accelerated pace in certain respects. I think that there has been some real victories and victory laps that have even been taken on some level for what we've been able to accomplish, both in terms of like our publications and what we put out there, and the response that we have seen. Like normally, I mean, for the first few years of our existence, we mainly focused on the kind of core elements of the whole organization. Building up the website, making sure that it was this massive resource for everybody, and that is what it's intended to be, and that's what it is. At this point, we're kind of shifting into different modes of publication. A few years ago, obviously, we started CFLN. That's when we brought you, Jacob, on, and others, and heighten people's visibility of what is happening internally, even at LCI, and how the sausage gets made, if you will, a little bit, and with some other little programs and whatnot. That has really kind of turned us into, if you will, we're almost on the verge of a media company. I mean, when it comes down to it, but that's, I mean, obviously we're still operating as the nonprofit in that respect, but it's like we're doing a lot of production of resources, which has largely shift. Like the biggest shift in that has been to more and more video, and in particular in this year, and that's, I think, been the starkest victory that we have seen, and I think a great percentage of that win is really due to Jacob, guys, because like
Oh.
that's been the growth that we've seen in the YouTube channels, and then kind of the associated stuff with that, like, because it's an enterprise level like operation at that point. There's the not only is the Libertarian Christian Institute channel growing, the Biblical Anarchy channel is a subset of that, and it's growing. And the Protestant Libertarian podcast, like that channel, is
The Protestant
active and
Libertarian
growing.
podcast is like the David of the, like it punches outside of its weight class
Oh,
in terms of just like
100%.
the, I mean, I think it gets good audio downloads, but like the YouTube channel was only launched this year, already has
Yeah.
gained some traction and getting subscribers, but
Yeah.
it gets the YouTube videos do pretty decent for it being
Oh,
a smaller sub channel right now, which is a good indicator that it's going to continue
he
to pick up
well,
and grow.
and that's a testament to who Alex is.
Yeah.
Like, I think what's great about Alex is so much his just willingness to just go deep on all sorts of different topics and bring that into the fold of like, what does this mean for us as Christian libertarians as well. That's why, I mean, it's one of the reasons why it's so fun to talk with him, is he is so knowledgeable about a bunch of different topics surrounding history, and like he's so enjoyable to talk to, and that is again a testament to like his own profession, the fact that he's a teacher, the fact that he is just so intellectually curious, and so he brings on people, and they get excited to talk to him. It's super cool. So if you're missing out, if you're not paying at least a little attention to what Alex is doing too.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had every single person's show this year has done really, like, I mean, they've always done interesting, engaging content, but this year even more so. Like, it's like there are episodes that, like, I'll see them coming up on co-schedule, and I'm like, it's like I'm almost like tempted to, like, I'm not going to wait for this to come out. I'm going to go into the Google Drive or into the StreamYard account and listen to it before it comes out. Get the early raw footage before it's edited, just because I'm excited to hear what's being the different guests that we've had on. Doug's had like several people from like the higher ups of Reason on his show, which were all like really great conversations. I really and I'm terrible with names, so maybe you'll remember. But I know he just had recently the I think like the senior editor at Reason on.
So Nick Gillespie, you mean?
Well, he had Nick on, but then I'm trying to remember what her name is.
Oh, Elizabeth or Sarah or Elizabeth?
It was one of those. I think he had both on, didn't he?
I mean, he's had everybody on at some point or another.
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
well, it felt like
I don't think she had Catherine on yet.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he did.
He
had
okay.
Catherine Ward on. Yeah, I was like, I can see her face, and I'm. If Catherine listens to this later, it's like, I hope she's not offended. I was like, I know who you are. I just can't get the name to come out of my.
It's fine. Jacob
neurons.
Didn't know who I was for like 2 years. It's cool. It's cool. And so
you were like the invisible hand of the LCI market. Just
hey, speaking. That's a great. What a transition. Totally unscripted transition, but I think it is kind of cool to mention here. As we're approaching 2026, and like we're excited about what we have in store for you guys. What with the publication of Faith Seeking Freedom 2 and everything like that. But one thing to remember, of course, is that this next year is the 250th anniversary of not only the Declaration of Independence, but what else? The Wealth of Nations. Recall that The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith was published in 1776. And that was, of course, the introduction of the invisible hand into our vernacular, if you will. And that's like... So happy birthday, America, and happy birthday, capitalism. If you want to demarcate that on some level, and you really can't. But I mean, it is important to recognize these kind of big demarcation points. And I think that's, if we're gonna celebrate the Declaration of Independence, hey, I think that's great. That's a cool thing. Let's also celebrate Wealth of Nations, which is about somewhere in the vicinity of 1,250 pages longer. So I don't know, but still very worthwhile. Happy birthday, capitalism too. So yeah, pretty cool. And we'll be talking about that.
See, we need to continue growing to the point where like we can have the full sort of like producer studio layout, so that like I could have on the fly, as you said, happy birthday, America and capitalism. I could have just like put up fireworks on the screen and like just like bombarded it with like American flags and bald eagles.
Well, and to wit, I tried to pitch the whole team on let's do a book club on the Wealth of Nations, and everybody just completely shut me down. It was very sad.
Really? I must have missed that. That must have been one of the meetings I missed in the last couple months. I think I haven't. I've been doing so many live streams the last couple months. I think I've missed the last two team meetings and watched part. I think I watched one of them after the fact, but I don't remember that book club idea being pitched.
Oh well.
Yeah, actually, we started the year. Yeah, I think the book club trailed off later in the year, like after the summer, but we started out like end of last year into the beginning of this year. We had some really popping book clubs, including the one directly behind me with Scott's new book, Provoked, which if you guys haven't seen that, those live streams are still up, and you can go watch them. They're just well, I mean, I read the entire book. I did 8 live streams on it, including one with Scott and one with Dave DeCamp, and I feel like I still only absorbed 25% of that book. It's literally just like it's not even just a good book on the history of the America-Russia conflict, but it's just kind of like hey, do you want like a giant like textual dump of things to read about American foreign policy from the end of USSR to today? Here you go.
Oh
uh,
man.
it's
Yeah, that's
just absolutely bonkers. But so again, a lot of stuff going on here at LCI. We're excited for what's coming in the next year. We're going to be at Freedom Fest again, I believe, and producing a lot of content on the themes of course, celebrating America's bicentennial and the just the themes that are going to be around that in terms of just evaluating our our founding principles, our founding fathers, America, the idea, America, the government, and kind of parsing that out in a way that I think we as LCI are uniquely positioned to do. But before we spend too much time future casting, I thought since this is a New Year's Eve stream, we could take a little bit of time to do sort of a looking back at 2025 specifically and trying to do a sort of like lessons learned kind of segment here. I thought that would be good. I have 3 lessons, but we can kind of go back and forth a little bit if you want on these. I don't have to monopolize them. Some of these are a little bit personal for me, by the way, just because of, well, I think they'll come out in some of them. But my first lesson, which I wanted to sort of launch out there, is that I think that some Christians and conservatives and libertarians they mistook political access for influence and progress.
Yep.
And I do want to like caveat that to say that like I suppose that it's impossible to sort of measure without having the counterfactuals to say that like would things be worse if certain people didn't have access, or if certain coalitions were not ventured and attempted. So I guess like I can say that we don't know with certainty here, but I do think that there were many, of course, including myself, who voted for Trump at the end of last year and were engaged in that sort of coalition and maybe seeing Elon and Doge. That was kind of our theme of this last year that we tried to keep going back to, was talking about Doge as a sort of springboard to talk about not just what was going on in current events, but just talking about like what it would actually mean to effectively cut government and what is, kind of unpacking the oxymoron of government efficiency in the first place. But we, yeah, I think a lot of people thought that more would come out of that because it seemed like perhaps libertarians, and specifically like Ron Paul and the Fed style libertarians, were perhaps their ideas were being taken more seriously by this incoming administration than they had been in the past. Yeah, like one, I think I think Cody and I are planning on doing a like early in January, a sort of like reviewing Trump's full first year of his second term, to kind of go back, because actually him and I did a prediction video a year ago, so we were going to revisit that. But I think, but beyond just evaluating it on like a specific policy by policy, sort of thing, I do think like the meta level analysis of that, I think many people thought that because there were conversations and that there was this seemingly this coalition that we had seemingly a seat at the table of, there was like a miscalculation about how much influence and how much good could come out of that. So I guess that's my first lesson learned, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's very appropriately said. There's a lot to unpack there that we don't have time to probably hit, but I would kind of surmise that or point in these general directions. There is that like I am experienced enough in the political arena to kind of, I want to say see the difference, but like I know what it means to have like tried to do something and put in the inputs, watch what happens, see the output, and then see the downstream effects. I'm embarking on a new kind of sub endeavor that even now that is it's been kind of building for the last 6 months. I haven't talked about it too much here. It has to do with drug access and the DEA and whatnot. As that builds, I may talk about it more, but want to be very careful about that because as it pertains to LCI, of course, arena of activism. But there is something very different that we are referring to when we start thinking about, does political access and lobbying to get it for some on behalf of somebody else, does it result in the things that you actually want? And at the very least, if you think that that's the direction you need to want to go, you need to do exactly what you were suggesting, and like you got to have a retrospective and see like was that worth the activity? And yeah, it is hard to deal with the counterfactuals there. Obviously, like even as it pertains to kind of Trump, I mean, obviously the fact that Ross is freed is like is at the top of mind with that respect. But also we should keep in mind that that the promise of the things that he would say about promises kept or promises made, promises kept, and like what does that mean? Like only in the genericest sense.
It's like the Princess Bride, where it's like you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so that's, you have to understand that the people with the access get to define what those terms are for you on some level, and that's not good enough. I think for well, in my experience, it's not good enough. It's why I tend to take a slightly different approach when it comes to activism in this respect. But that's like, I get it. It's something we have to wrestle with constantly.
I think it's hard when you're in the position, because I know people who are like in that position of like, well, I have this opportunity to like try to have various ability to speak into, whether it's directly into the administration itself or to people adjacent to the administration or to the influencers in this sort of MAGA coalition. And it's kind of like, if you have that opportunity, you can kind of feel like, well, wouldn't it be a waste if I didn't take it? And I might even agree with that like, well, maybe you should try to take the opportunity, but then there needs to be, I think, that constant vigilance to sort of measure the impact of what you're doing, and also to make sure you're not like, suffering any sort of like mission creep, and to not let that sort of like you have to find, I think, that kind of like line in the sand.
Yeah.
In terms of just like listen, you can be, I think there's biblical examples of like Daniel, the and like his friends, Meshach, Radshak, Abednego, Joseph when he was like sold into slavery. There's examples of people who are like, in positions that are like less than ideal, and they try to make the most of it and serve a role faithfully, but then they still have to like, there's a line where that coalition is going to pull you in directions that are going to go against your faith and your core values, or where abuses are going to happen. Then you have to decide like, am I going to risk the consequences of speaking truth and of not bending on truth, or am I going to water what I'm saying to try to maintain that influence? And I think that's a tough thing to manage, and I can have grace for that, but I do think that many of us were probably a little over our skis, and perhaps like thinking that this could have, I mean, I think Ross being freed is amazing, and yet it's also true that this administration has made more Ross Ulbrichts.
Oh yeah.
And will continue to make more Ross Ulbrichts. And so that it's so like on one hand, I can kind of like Oscar Schindler this thing and be like, well, it saved one man's life. It's like, yeah, but it's also ruining people's lives. So,
Yeah.
uh,
But this
you
isn't
know,
a trolley problem calculus
right?
either.
It's
Like
not
we're not
right,
doing that. You
right.
know, I would point out as well that like that there's a really crucial element to this is recognizing that politicians are liars and you can only trust in their incentives. So when you enter into those sorts of activist things, like you need to kind of figure out how to like number one, like you're gonna have to stay true to your principles, and like that's absolutely crucial, right? In what you are doing, your ends do not justify your means. You do not get a special pass to do aggression and things like that because you think you have a high and mighty goal or something like that, and you don't get to lie. Like that, you have to tell the truth, and that is going to have consequences at times. But you also have to for the people that you're working with. And to wit, I can point to like there were so many lessons that I learned about 15 years ago in the fight against the TSA in Texas. Some of y'all here may know that story, and some of y'all may not. But if you remember about 15, it was 2010 when Texas was trying to kick out the TSA. That was largely a project that I started with a freshman representative named David Simpson in the state of Texas. And that would not have worked if I did not believe that David Simpson was actually trustworthy. And the fact is that he is the among the very short list of good people that I have met in the political realm.
Hmm.
And I'm like he's up there as in the stratosphere with like Ron Paul in the sense of his integrity and the fact that you could actually trust him. I like it just we he and I clicked. It worked. I knew like I mean even though with some caveats like it had to grow over time, but once I realized that like this man is actually a trustworthy person, this it enabled us to actually go farther. But that's something that you have to gain with experience with people rather than through the political process, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
you don't just learn that. And that like and truth be told, like we worked with other people in that time. And some of those people, same people who supported him in those efforts at the time, came back and were vicious to him later. Ranging from, the people who, when he tried to run for Senate in the state of Texas, they, the establishment Republicans at the time went after him so hard, it is beyond belief. I could not fathom why they would say the things that they said about him because they were completely untrue, and there was just, like the kinds of things that you like literally made up stuff, lies about his character and what he had done. That is what politicians do.
yeah,
Okay, but you follow the incentives, and that's it. Like that was what we underestimated about them is that they would be of the kind of character that David was, my David in this case.
yeah, yes,
And I think that it's such a huge lesson for us, and thank the Lord, David is no longer a politician. When he lost his primary, I congratulated him that he is that the Lord saw it fit to kick him out of public service, and but
yeah.
and
No,
he
that's
was like,
good.
yeah, but he is now a private businessman in the state of Texas, in Longview,
I
still.
think this maps on to my second two lessons, which kind of go together, which
Yeah.
is that I think that Christians let certain threat narratives and narratives of fear set their moral priorities, and then
Oh,
and then correspondently confused uh, that if they were acting in faith, that that would produce results, or that in general acting in faith will produce results. And now that last one is kind of like, well, I think that's true in a sense, but it's like, how are you measuring the results?
Yes.
And what results are you seeking? And
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. And I know a lot of scripture, and I always forget the exact citation, but like the one where Jesus says, ask anything
Yeah.
in my name and it'll be granted to you. It's like, well, to ask something in Jesus's name, it'll be granted to you, sort of implies this sort of like you are asking something in the heart of the Father in the pursuit of his kingdom that aligns with his plan. And like, yeah, of course, if you're asking something in that uh in that very defined zone, then it will be granted to you, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean that if your prayer isn't answered right away, it's bad, but it's, so there's a
Well,
little
yeah.
bit of conversation there. But I think in general, there are, to that last one, I think it's especially the trap that I see on the Christian right, with both Christian nationalists and with the, I guess more, I don't know what to call them, the new old guard of the Republican Party. Like they're not the old guard, but it's like now they're the new old guard in a way. It's all,
neocons.
yeah,
Like,
the neocons, yeah,
yeah.
essentially the
Yeah.
neocons and Bush era conservatives. So
Yeah.
uh they both in their own way sort of have this sort of faulty heuristic that like, well, they don't start with we do what is right and we do what scripture and our principles tell us to do. They operate through this like, well, we have to do what works, we have to do what secures us power, we have to do
Yes.
what doesn't let the other side win. So again, these two things, the one about like letting threat narratives and fear shape our moral priorities. I think that these are things that I think have always been there, not just in 2025.
Oh yeah.
But I think 2025 sort of like really
It's just very
crystallized
evident.
that it was very evident that the both oftentimes like they're both doing it against each other. Like there's been this kind of civil war on the right, and they're literally kind of just mirror images of each other in a way. And I think that it goes to show that if you are not starting with what does scripture teach in terms of what is true and what does it teach in terms of what we should do, like that has to be our foundation. And then we can't, I think we are correct to care about the outcomes of our actions, but we are incorrect to let chasing the outcomes of our actions be what instructs us for what actions we should take.
Yes. Well, and this is where the beauty of the convergence of libertarian ideas and Christian ideas is really that of that both are ethics of means and not necessarily of ends.
Yeah.
Because we know as Christians, what is the chief end of man? To glorify God
Glorify
and enjoy
God,
Him
yes.
forever. Like
Yes.
that is our ends. And ultimately, like, so all of the sub ends that we build out of that are secondary in to that, if you will. In like they're not unimportant, but they serve the higher end, right? And so, but our ends do not justify our means at any point. In fact, it is very clear through Scripture that we are never to do evil so that good may result. Clearly, and even in the time of the old law, Jesus challenges the interpretations of his day, where like if you see, what is the phrase he says, like do you not muzzle the ox as it try, and so on the Sabbath, and like, there's Sabbath breaking sort of stuff is where I'm kind of going with that.
Yeah.
And I mean this is the whole point of the various parables he tells and whatnot. Those are crucial in like that man was not meant for the Sabbath, but the Sabbath was made for man,
Man, yeah.
and so on. And so those are not ends to themselves, but we have a different set of means that we are commanded to follow in order to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Like that is how we achieve them. And so yeah, this it reminds me, like you even brought up that spirit of fear, and that of course should remind us of Second Timothy, where Paul reminds Timothy that we're not given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. And that what is that spirit of power? It's not to go and gain political office, but it is the spirit of God within us. That's the Holy Spirit acting within us in order to both strengthen our minds, renew our spirits, and strengthen others. Like that's how it works. That's like I love what you're saying there, because that confusion is endemic to the political kind of way of thinking. In that, I mean, it's very Lipscomian what you're saying there, even. For those of you,
How dare you?
how
Oh, sorry.
well, I'm, how I think.
I know.
No, this is the way. Like, let's bring in some Mandalorian to that too. Yeah, maybe Lipscomb would have made a great Mandalorian. I don't know.
Oh
Maybe
gosh.
that's a thing.
That'll be a good talking point when we finally do our
Yeah,
Star Wars live stream.
yeah, we'll get. Yeah, that was intended for tonight, guys, but unfortunately, we did have to push that due to unforeseen circumstances. But yeah,
Yes.
it's all good. Uh,
Well, and
no,
I think, and we'll have to draw to a close here in a minute, but I think I want to get some thoughts from you. But I think that the tension that I think some people are rightfully concerned about is the sort of seeing things in the world that they're like, well, these things are bad, and we feel compelled to try to uh, make some kind of difference and to sort of avert certain potential dangers and crises, and uh, you know help people who are suffering due to various state actions or other effects of the fallen world we live in. And I think sometimes people can have noble intentions, right? And uh, I think that there's a fair question of is I think if you have a theory of how to act in the world and it leads to you sort of doing nothing when things are happening around you, you need to check your premises. But I don't. So, like, I think sometimes that can be sort of the criticism of some libertarian Christians and
hmm,
anarchist Christians, is that they can almost seem to have this sort of like, well, all we need to do is preach the gospel, and but the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and all we can do is sort of like preach the gospel, ad infin, over and over again until the second coming, and that's it. And
hmm,
I do think that there is a role for cultural engagement and perhaps
yes,
even limited political engagement,
yeah,
but you need to have a sort of especially I think you need to have a sort of obviously um, a theory of how to apply your principles in both of those things. And there might be some game theory considerations on the politics in terms of like, because I think it's one of those things where, like Paul said, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. So like it might
yeah,
be one of those things where like maybe it's not that it's immoral for you to engage in certain activities, but what are the trade-offs? What are the the
yes,
the, the opportunity costs of certain courses of action versus others? So uh I guess my closing word is that, like, I don't mean to intend that we do nothing. I think what we do is what we're trying to do here at LCI, which is I think is to equip Christians to think about these issues, but to realize that there's more on offer for Christians to do to be Christ-like in the world that doesn't fall into sort of like trying to uh persuade Caesar to rain down good things by fiat, because we I don't know, like trick him into doing it, or we vote hard enough for him to do it or something, or making sort of like unequal, badly yoked relationships or compromises.
Yeah, dude, so much resonates with me there because I have been a big proponent of the idea of we call it the one improved unit. It's not an original Norman phrase or anything, but what that means is that, you know, our first means of changing the world is changing ourselves. When you are because you are like the only way that your activity makes an impact on the world is when you act. Like that's it's almost redundant and, you know, just like you're just saying the same thing, but you can't just assume that if I can't tell you how many times, you know, during like the Ron Paul campaigns, you'd hear some young kid be like, I'm going to be the next Ron Paul. It's like, really? How about you just focus on doing your door to door stuff? Like, you know, and you have time.
Clean your room before you set out to fix the world.
There's something to be said for at least like the principle therein. You know, it may not necessarily be cleaning your room, but maybe it is something else. And the fact is that you can only affect, like, you can start by affecting yourself, and you can really only affect that which is within your sphere of influence. That is crucial. So understanding what your sphere of influence is and how to make a maximum impact there is way more important than trying to, you know, figure out how you're going to, you know, I don't know, like, I'm just going to pick something random. Try to be the next, try to be a libertarian host on CNN or something like that. You know, like when you're not even in the media industry or something like that. Like that's not a good plan. You know, and yeah. So I think the understand how this is why the LCI mission can be something you can adopt, because for most of us out there, the people that we have the most impact upon are those in our immediate vicinity, and that includes the people in our churches. And that means that if we can help equip you to be a force multiplier in your church, your Christian community, to learn what it means to live in a free society, why it's important, why those principles are so crucial to human flourishing, then you will make that impact down the line.
I think that's so true. Yeah.
We'll invite you into that mission right now.
Yeah, I think I think that the church is obviously, the institutional church rather, is obviously first and foremost the means of like corporate worship, administering the sacraments, you know, doing sort of like the vessel by which we sort of like unironically like church is the things that we Christians do together here on earth in pursuit of kingdom oriented goals, right? I'm kind of making a play on, like, you know, government is the things we do together. It's like, no, but for Christians,
church is the place where the Christians do stuff together,
right? Exactly. So that's a funny kind of parallel there.
Well, that sidebar, that is the lie that we have to fight against, right?
Well, people,
politics as religion, it's replacing, you know, that's the true replacement theory.
And like whatever problem you're talking about, it's like, you know what, we can have like 3-4 hour podcasts, and we probably will, and write tons of articles about the nuances of various issues, domestic and foreign. But at the end of the day, a lot of those problems are going to be easier to solve if you have a bunch of Christians and churches who are equipped to understand those issues and act in their local spheres of influence to bring positive change to bear where they can. Like there's a higher ceiling about what can be achieved there that LCI can play a role in doing than there is through the route of politics, I think. And I think the route of politics is almost like it's the exception to the rule. It's kind of like there might be, I think there are Ron Pauls and Thomas Masseys, but like, you should think long and hard if you think that you're the next Ron Paul or Thomas Massey.
Yeah. Well, and you might be down the line. That's maybe that is the vision you should have. I can't necessarily make that decision for you. But what I can tell you is that goal, even I almost guarantee you right now that even if that is in your future, that should not be your most immediate goal. That there is something closer to you that you will make a greater impact in right now. And the way you get there is by dealing with the stuff on the ground here right now.
Joseph couldn't skip to the end of saving his family. He had to suffer through the being sold and being enslaved and being wrongfully accused and going to prison. And, it's it sounds cliche, but like the journey is, it's not, the destination is gotten to because of the journey, and you can't skip there. There's important steps in that. We're out of time, actually over time. I do have a heart out here, but I do want to just press people that if you like what we're talking about and you want more, go to libertarianchristians.com/donate and support us continue to support us into the new year, but of course donations through the end of the night to help us really maximize this end of the year December fundraiser that you guys have been so great in supporting us in. I just want to, my last word will be, to wish everyone a happy new year, and just to say that, we have a lot in store already. Half of the busyness of this year was just creating things that are now going to come into fruition for next year. So we have a lot to be looking forward to if you are a fan, old or new, of LCI. Norman, any final words?
Just love you all, guys. This is the time that this is the time where we make the impact. It's happening. It's happening.
All right,
guys, let's do it.
We need the Ron Paul gif. That'll be also on the to-do list. Well, thank you, Norm, for doing this. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will go back to regularly scheduled Monday night LCI Green Rooms next week. And Biblical Anarchy also had like a weird kind of like hiatus this month. I only put out like one regular episode because it just got so busy and I got sick, but that'll be resuming normal scheduling in January as well. But yeah, thank you all. As I always conclude by saying, live at peace, live for Christ, and take care.